British Euroscepticism has a very long tradition. Since Henry VIII, I think this is at the heart of British geopolitical thinking, and since this is a 500-year tradition, I respect it.
President Tusk, President Juncker, we're watching a farce and seemingly never-ending acts. The Brits decided in a majority vote to leave the EU, a referendum, a majority, a clear decision. But so far, no result, no exit. Which of you would actually still trust yourselves to explain to the people how you would betray and block the withdrawal agreement? You've been extremely successful in making the withdrawal agreement as unattractive as possible, and against all expectations, Boris Johnson does now have a majority for ratification. And yet, in the European Parliament, you're dragging out the ratification. And the adjutant of the EU at Westminster, John Bercow, is doing his bit by preventing the Commons from voting on the exit agreement. Everybody is there, sitting in their seats. It's a strange piece of theatre. On the one hand, I cry, and on the other hand, I laugh. I cry because we are witnesses to the perversion of democratic processes. I laugh because I know that the boys and girls of the Brexit Party are here, continuing to enrich the freedom of this House and continuing to get on your collectivistic nerves. That, at least, is gratifying.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to confine my brief intervention to the subject of Brexit, something which we are trying to come to terms with for the last 3 years since we know the result of the referendum. Let's be clear, the result must be respected regardless of the small margin. The UK must leave and bear all the consequences of its decision. I think Mr. Juncker was correct when he said that no extension should be granted. Regardless of whether there is an agreement or no agreement, the UK should leave. And I think also this is in the best interest of Europe to let the UK go. The decision that the British people have made 3 years ago was not an enormous surprise. British Euroscepticism has a very long tradition. Since Henry VIII, I think this is at the heart of British geopolitical thinking, and since this is a 500-year tradition, I respect it. But Europe and the European Union must also be very clear about the challenges it is facing and must be very clear about its priorities.